Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We are here doing a mock draft today. Our first, it's been a while since we've done real draft coverage, but before we get into that, sick. Is that up to date? Is our camera broken? Love that for us. Well,
cool.
You don't need to see us for this.
Yeah.
We'll get it fixed in a minute for you, Chad, but we did want to start off the show on a little bit of a somber note, unfortunately.
This sucks.
Not DNVR, but the Avalanche Media Group lost a compatriot yesterday, and Rick Sadowski, who's been doing the job for a very long time.
Yep.
Very well liked by everyone in the media corps. So, condolences to his family, of course, and I hope they're all doing okay.
Yeah.
Guy that's going to be missed for sure.
Yeah, he was, Rick was one of the few guys when I first started that was actually willing to have conversations with me.
Yeah.
And would acknowledge that I existed and stuff. And so he was one of the few that really made me feel like I was welcome and that I belonged and that, hey, as long as you're there to just do the job, it's all good.
Yep.
And I love talking to Rick. He was a fun guy to spend time with in the locker room. He used to make little bets with me. I'm like, I bet this guy won't talk today. I won't bet that guy won't talk today. He was an interesting guy, and I was very fond of Rick, and it was really sad to hear the news of his passing. And obviously condolences to his family. It was tough. That was tough last night.
Yeah.
Finding that out.
Never fun, but
do appreciate Terry Fry going out of his way to let the community know.
Yeah.
Because it happened last week, and none of us were
in the loop on it.
Yeah. So it was whole thing was tough.
Yeah. Anyway, obviously, again, biggest thing is hope his family's doing okay, and send them some good vibes if you can. Beyond that, the Avs news, obviously Gabe Landeskog's news coming out this morning that he's going to get replacement surgery for the cartilage in his knee. Not a doctor, not going to try to explain to you exactly what that entails, but what we do know is he's going to miss all of next season.
Yep. And that was, we had talked about, hey, they need to figure out what he's doing, some kind of certainty here of a timeline and what they can do with that $7 million.
Yeah.
They can now freely spend that $7 million. If you think that gives them an opportunity to keep a JT Compher, I would still say very unlikely. What it should allow them to do is maybe be a little more aggressive in a 1-year market.
Yeah. You're talking about rentals here.
Yeah, you are having a conversation of the two things I think I would expect them to do with that money. It's not go out and give Tyler Bertuzzi a 6-year deal.
Well, so
this money gets spent one time. They are expecting Landeskog to come back.
That's the thing I want to dispel here is the whole point of this surgery for Landeskog is for him to miss this next year, and then he can come play hockey again.
Correct.
If we were talking about a situation where he might be done, he wouldn't be getting this surgery at all. He wouldn't even try.
Right.
So the expectation is not that this is it for Landy. It's that he needs this year to recover, get it fixed, and then he can come back.
Right. And so the plan that they are going to operate within is this one is they will not be spending that $7 million over multiple years because they won't have it available to them if this works and he comes back.
Yeah.
Now, if they fast forward to 1 year from today and he's not any better, and the rehab is not going well.
Then you cross that bridge when you get there, for sure.
Whatever. Then you start having a serious conversation of he's really not coming back.
Yeah.
This might be done. This might be LTIR forever. And then you could start to make a long-term commitment with that $7 million.
Yep.
This year, for the next 12 months, anybody that thinks that the Avalanche are going to make this opens up the door for long-term commitments for the Avalanche is incorrect. Mm-hmm. They will not. They have that money for a year.
Yep.
So they can be a little more aggressive with a 1-year deal here and there for a guy. But it also means that they can save a little bit of that money and then keep that money for the season if they wanted to for trade deadline.
Yep. And this is stuff we will get into this offseason. I'm sure we'll talk about targets, just not today. Today we're doing a mock draft. We're talking draft today.
Yeah, but we wanted to start with that's obviously the news of the day with Landeskog. We'll get into all that stuff as the summer goes on. We'll be talking about it. I will say, I mean, Chad has already decided that Landeskog's not coming back ever. We don't know that, you know, Mark Mathot is one guy, Lonzo Ball's another guy who have had the surgery and have had their struggles. It's a pretty high success rate for non-pro athletes.
Yeah.
For pro athletes, it's not great. So,
and I look again.
There's reasons for concern here, but also this is the best route for them.
Yep. They
decided this was the best. This gave them the best chance to get him back into an Avalanche uniform.
Yep.
So that is going to, you know, that's what you wanted to see. You wanted to see them make a decision.
Yeah, right.
Know what to do with that money. They've got a year to spend it. That's not money that's available to them long term at the moment.
You have as much info as you possibly can in this moment now.
Yeah.
And you know, again, the recovery will go how it goes. You solve that when you get there.
I mean, I don't know why you would say it's a long shot when you don't know.
Yeah,
the surgery success rate is right around 90%. And again, pro athletes obviously have a different level of what is successful, but you don't know that.
Yep. It's, I mean, unless there's a doctor in our chat that does this surgery, it's pretty unlikely that you have in-depth knowledge on exactly how it operates. But
Lonzo Ball's rehab has not gone well at the moment, is why I say it's not gone. It's not a great outcome so far.
Yep.
There's not a ton of confidence. And if you want to connect the dots, the Chicago Bulls team doctor is the one that's performing the surgery, who's the one who performed the surgery on Lonzo. So, you know, if you're looking for a reason to be pessimistic, I would say there it is.
Sure.
But yes, he's still very much rehabbing. It is still, we're there.
All right.
We're at the, we just have to trust that the doctor knows what he's doing and go from there. We'll see.
Let's get into our actual topic of the day and the unbelievably predictable and arguably worst case scenario for the Colorado Avalanche of the Chicago Blackhawks winning the draft lottery.
The NHL writ large.
Yeah, not wrong.
There was one excited fan base last night. And had he gone to Anaheim or had he gone to Columbus, I think there would have been a bunch of people that were like, cool, good for them.
Yep.
And it would have been like, cool, they can use a star like
they get
that
a
for that market.
superstar, it'll be fun.
It being Chicago was everybody's worst case.
Yep.
I mean, we would have also said St. Louis, but
had that one gone through, it would have just been like, what are the odds? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
But Chicago was the predictable choice that no one wanted, unfortunately. And I don't think we have to get into the whole debate of.
Yeah, we really don't. It doesn't matter. We're in the world that we're in right now, and we're just gonna. This is kind of the unofficial. I guess it's really the official start of our draft coverage this year.
Pretty much.
We're gonna get to know the draft class a lot better over the next 2 months. So we're starting with a mock draft today. Who might the Avalanche pick, and what might all these other ones do?
Yeah, it should be interesting. I'll be honest. My European coverage so far this year is not great.
It's just, my big problem with the is the Russian players this year.
Yeah. What do you even do with those guys, honestly?
Right. Because there are some Russian guys in this draft that you really, really like. Mm-hmm. Beyond Matvei Michkov, obviously. But I think Michkov is going to be a major X factor, and we're going to see where he goes for us. But
it's going to get really interesting.
There's a serious. The Russian factor has always been a thing that's existed, where some teams were just more uncomfortable with drafting them than others.
This year, it's just ramped up so much.
It is ramped up way, way, way more.
Yep.
Because of the ongoing
global
war in Ukraine
circumstance.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen there have been a number of players who've had some odd circumstances. Things have happened, and it's just a tenuous situation, and we don't know how the next few years are going to go.
Yep. But at the top of this draft, there are very, very few questions. It's another year where it feels like the draft probably starts at 3. Certainly for number 1 in Chicago, it's going to be Connor Bedard.
Yep.
There's never been any doubt he's going number 1 overall.
Yep.
Projected and justifiably so as the next generational player after McDavid. He's just special. Don't know what else to say about it. He's an unbelievably good hockey player.
Yeah, I mean, I think the word generational is way, way, way overused.
I agree.
But we talked about this a little bit already this week. But he is the real deal, man.
Mm-hmm. He's just crazy good. I think the draft starts at 3. Maybe you could make an argument at 2.
Well, so at 2, you have the conversation. The conversation obviously starts with Adam Fantilli.
Yeah.
The kid out of Michigan.
Yep. Won the Hobie Baker as a freshman.
Right, and was a point per game player at Michigan. Was one of the best freshman seasons in NCAA history.
Yep.
In the company of Paul Kariya and Jack Eichel.
Mm-hmm.
And while Jack Eichel obviously has had his issues in the NHL, you're still talking about a very, 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 very good hockey player.
It's kind of funny how many parallels there are to the McDavid Eichel draft, really.
There's a lot of them, yeah.
But yeah, when you talk about a kid like that can play at that level at 18 in the NCAA, that's the closest in North America you can get to what some of those kids in European leagues do, where they get to play against pros as teenagers.
Absolutely.
Really. So I get the competition level. Depending on where you're playing in the NCAA, can be a little suspect at times, but Michigan is playing all the big boy teams.
Yep.
So I don't think he's particularly close to Bedard's level, but I also think he's pretty clearly the second best player in the class.
Yeah, and I would say if Fantilli was eligible last year, he'd be the first round pick, and I think if he was eligible next year, he'd probably be the first overall pick.
Yeah,
first round pick, first overall pick.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of talent that we're talking about, and for the record, there's a pretty good American player coming at the top of next year's draft.
It's every year you try and convince yourself of something or other. I don't know how much I believe in next year's draft class as a whole. But
I don't know either, but I like the kid at the top of it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I think that's, you take Fantilli, Leo Carlson is the other guy that we could have that conversation with. Let me ask you though, is there a temptation for Michkov here? They already have Zegras. They already have Troy Terry. They already have, I've already forgotten his name, Mason McTavish. So you have 2 centers, and then I guess Terry, we can probably leave Terry out of this, but he's already 25, and we'll see. But you've got Zegras and McTavish as your centers down the middle. Fantilli.
My problem is
obviously Fantilli's great, but if you waited 3 years on Michkov and drop him in. So the other thing, Matvei Michkov has a 3-year contract to stay in the KHL.
Yeah, and this is my problem, is you just named a bunch of dudes who are already in the NHL on their roster.
Okay, but they're really, really young.
I hear you, and they could. I think it's possibility for them. But I look at a team, I don't know if Michkov gets to 6. We'll talk about this in a little bit.
Yeah.
A team that's a little further away from maybe being there with all of their prospects, like in Arizona.
Okay.
I think it starts to make more sense for.
So just spitballing, but had these lotto results been flipped and it been Anaheim at 1 and Chicago at 2, do you think there would have been
I think
more
Chicago
of a case for Michkov
seriously considers it a lot more than Anaheim would.
Okay. I'm cool with that. So no on Michkov to Anaheim?
I would say no.
Okay. I'm not going to push it. We do need to move along. We have a lot of picks to make. But
long way to go.
So Adam Fantilli to Anaheim, I think we're starting off safe here.
Yeah, 1-2 is 1-2.
Yeah,
all right,
we're starting off safe. We're not.
Let's get to pick 3 before we do something bold.
We're not getting weird up in here. So now we're at Columbus. Now let's get weird. I'm bored.
Okay. Well,
I'm What do you think?
I mean, I think Leo Carlsson's overrated.
Okay, well, why do you think Leo Carlsson's overrated? Because I might be leaning where you are on that.
So it's a couple things for me. One, I think the SHL as a league is overrated. I think it's been surpassed by the Liga. I think even the German leagues are competitive with that league at this point in its career. Certainly, I think the KHL is better. It's a league where I think scoring is in a very interesting spot in that league because it's down relative to other international leagues.
We're also seeing more and more teenagers start to have impact in those
So really,
leagues.
it was Finland that started this trend, and now you're seeing all the other leagues kind of catch up on this idea.
Okay.
Of like, we're talking about 16, 17-year-olds starting to break into these leagues. And with Carlsson, one, I'm always skeptical of these guys who jump up lists because of one good playoffs. You saw it a couple of years ago with the Russian kid's name. I can't remember his name. The Rangers took. Anyway, not important. I'm just skeptical of that because I think, much like I feel about goalies, any prospect can have a good month.
Yeah.
I want to see a little bit more consistency on the offensive side out of Carlsson, and that's where my concerns really start to come in.
I'm a little iffy on Kravtsov. That's it.
Yes, it was Kravtsov.
Boy, was that a predictable outcome.
Yeah.
So my thing with Carlsson is that everybody talks about him as a center.
He's a wing.
And he spent
in the NHL, he's a wing.
He spent almost the entire year playing wing.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, if you're projecting him as center, then why isn't he playing center? You see a lot more centers move to wing as they move up.
Yep.
Because the competition gets higher and they can't handle it.
Yep.
You don't see as many wings move to center. So for me, I was just like,
the fact that he's already moved to wing, that dude's a wing in the NHL. It's so hard to move from wing to center at the NHL level.
Yeah. And so this is where I end up with Leo Carlsson and why I don't want to take him with Columbus. Because I'm not sold that they're getting a center. And I like his upside and I like his scoring. And there's lots to like about Leo Carlsson. He's a mature kid. And
sure.
I like all of that. But I look at a guy like Will Smith and I think that he's so dynamic. And I think
I'm here for this take.
I think he jumps off the ice to you.
Yep.
And I think that Will Smith is the kind of do everything, blazing fast. Like he is the perfect guy to drop between Johnny Gaudreau and Patrick Laine.
Boy.
And
to put him next to Johnny Gaudreau would be super fun.
Well, and then you have him and you have Kent Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Sillinger.
All of a sudden, you're oozing with skill in that.
And
top six.
you have so much skill. But with a guy like Sillinger, you've got a really heady two-way guy who's developed that his career has been very reminiscent of Ryan O'Reilly's early career, with a lot of defensive growth those first couple of years. Really hard minutes.
Yep.
Not a lot of cushy, I'm going to go score lots of points, Matthias Michelli type things where very, very sheltered.
Phil Deneau style more.
A lot more. Yeah, Phil Deneau might be a better for Sillinger. And I think that, I think Will Smith has got to be tempting for Columbus. And I love the fit.
That's where
I love the projection.
I'm all in on this take. I'm about it. I'm about Will Smith.
Let's go Will Smith to Columbus. San Jose.
San Jose, indeed.
And for the record, no, I am not considering Matvei Michkov for Columbus.
No, not for Columbus. Definitely not.
For San Jose?
Absolutely, yes.
I'm interested, but San Jose is in such a fascinating spot here.
Because they're stuck with Hurdle's deal and Couture's deal.
Carlson and Vlasic. They have so much old guy money tied up.
But they're also just not competitive with those guys.
Right. So, I mean, they play hard.
that doesn't make them competitive, but
their defense is bad and their goaltending's not great. So
I just don't see. So the reason, again, that I consider Mishkov for them is I don't see how they get competitive in the next couple of years because they're like they need to figure out what they're doing with those guys' deals. They need to figure out where they're going as an organization.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're trying to turn it around quickly, then obviously no, they should not take Michkov. They need someone who's going to get to the NHL a little bit quicker.
Well, and this is where you look at Leo Carlsson and you say, this guy, given the way that they've handled William Eklund, I think that's been instructive. Now, Eklund had a little bit more of a, he really needed to work on the defensive side of his game. He needed some
empty
strength
there. Yeah.
And instead of just saying, we'll figure it out, they've been very careful with Eklund's development. Do you think that that informs on how they would handle Carlson, where maybe Leo Carlsson doesn't drop in this year,
but you give him the 1 year,
you give him an AHL year, and then in 2 years he's in your NHL lineup?
I think,
and if you love him in training camp, you can just
of
keep
course,
him.
Of course. I think that's what my plan would be. Open plan, of course, but again, especially for me, kids coming out of Sweden, I always worry about them getting up to speed at the NHL level because Sweden plays on international ice.
Very slow and defensive.
Yep. And North America, you get there, and they'll adjust if you give them 2 months. But if you give them a training camp and then they're playing at NHL speed, that comes at you really fast.
I mean, it's tough for any 18-year-old, any league,
Of course, but I'm saying it's amplified even more for some of these international kids, just because of that change in pace of not just the ice being smaller, but just the style of gameplay.
Yeah,
it just comes at you so much faster.
Let me ask a serious question here, because I want to bring up Ryan Leonard.
Okay.
San Jose has a really long track record of plucking kids out of the
NTDP.
Out of the NTDP,
and
we just took Will Smith
out of them,
so they don't get a shot at Will Smith. But Ryan Leonard, he just had an awesome U18s.
He did, including
scoring the golden goal. He's a good at everything, but a guy that the intangible that he has that he oozes is he's ultra competitive. And you want maybe a culture fit where, hey, this guy is going to walk in here and he's going to try and absolutely dominate you every single shift. He's going to go all out. He's going to give maximum effort, a total gamer type.
I always worry about taking guys that project as power forwards in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, I always worry about taking power forwards.
Just in general.
Scary.
Yeah. But the thing with Leonard is for a guy his size, he does skate very well, which does fit well in the modern NHL.
Does it all, man, and has finished very strong this year.
My question is, do they need a center? Like, are we living in a world where they're saying, okay, we're moving on from Hurdle, we're continuing to...
No, I don't think they're getting that cute with that. I think they're just looking at it and saying, we want the best prospect that we're not waiting 3 years for with Michkov.
You could convince me. I think today, I say I'm down on Carlson. I'd still take him in the top 5, to be honest with you.
Okay. I'm cool if we want to go Leo Carlsson here. I think he's good, safe. San Jose is happy that they get a guy like this that falls to them. He raises the floor of that organization, and you get him. You get a guy like Eklund. You start to feel like you're starting to build for the future pretty seriously.
I'm happy with Carlson and San Jose. I'd put it that way.
All right, Leo Carlsson it is.
Montreal at 5.
They're not taking Michkov.
Hard no. My question with Montreal is, can you talk yourself into taking a defenseman?
No.
Do you think it's too high for Reinbacher?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if it's too high, but my answer would be no.
Just no.
Yeah, I think this is a Ryan Leonard spot,
and I'm perfectly comfortable with that. I'm not going to make.
I think that is a great culture fit.
Yep.
That's a guy that's going to come in there and he's going to check all the boxes that Kent Hughes and Marty St. Louis are looking for out of their young guys.
Try hard that they're looking for.
And they're gonna love the all around everything that he does. A guy that I would also have a conversation about here would be a Dvorsky.
Okay, convince me.
I just think that's a guy that you. I mean, the U18s that he just had is very encouraging, and when guys that finish on a high note like that usually have a little of that draft helium, makes it easy to fall in love. You get to see you're left a little wanting.
All these dudes with draft helium, I always wonder, because you see the combine every year stop some of that hype or gain other people.
This is the hard part with the mock draft.
Right,
The day after the lotto.
It's pretty early to be doing this.
We don't have the combine information.
Yeah.
We don't have official heights, weights, and all that stuff. And there's always the interview process, which always changes the math here on, well, we really liked this guy, but he had a bad interview, and we really loved this guy's interview, and that guy's going to go. That's why a guy like Ryan Leonard I'm comfortable with, because that's a guy I think is going to interview off the charts.
Yeah. So we have our top 5 on the board here that we can show you in a second. Which ask me again in a month, and I doubt the top 5 looks the same.
Yeah, the one that I have the least confidence in is Leo Carlsson at 4.
That there's
I would say that's the one that I could be talked out of the most.
I think
I love the other two fits.
I
for
could
Smith and Leonard.
100% see Leo Carlsson fall out of the top 10 depending on how things go.
There's no way that happens.
I don't think it would either.
If he got to 6 at Arizona, it would take a massive malfunction. A massive malfunction.
Well, it's Arizona, so
I mean, it would be idiotic for Leo Carlsson to drop past. And I mean, a team like the Caps that wants to compete again very quickly, a drag and drop kind of guy like that. There's no way. I refuse to believe this.
Okay.
He's just too safe. There's too much upside. He's too Swedish.
All right. Well, let's move on to Arizona then at 6, because
this is where I want to have the Reinbacher conversation. Mm-hmm. So they have 6 and 12.
Yep.
Reinbacher will go before 12.
He certainly should go top 10. Yeah.
There's no way he gets past St. Louis.
Okay.
There's just no way.
He's just there.
They need a defenseman so badly. He's size. He's right-handed. He fits all the skill things.
How far away is he though?
It's a fair question, but with St. Louis, they need anything on defense they can get. They need that is the weakest part.
Fair enough.
Of their thing. Like,
fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue on the team side.
Somebody bringing up the draft order. This is the draft order as it is today. The Avs will potentially move up 2 spots.
Depending on who loses in round
Seattle,
2.
Dallas, and
the Toronto one looks pretty likely.
Well,
yeah.
Until it happens,
right? It's saying. Not a fit. It's not.
They could still move up to two spots, is what we're saying here. They will definitely move up 1 because Dallas or Seattle will move depending on how that series ends. But this is the order as of today.
Yep. So it'll be a little bit different. The top 16 are correct, though.
Yeah, the top 16 are set. That's set. We're done there.
Yep.
So with Arizona, again, we're going to talk about him every pick till he gets picked, but Michkov.
So I definitely think from where the team is at, that he makes sense.
Is that the kind of team that would take that chance?
That's my problem. Is Arizona has not been the type of team to do things like that.
I would love to know Craig Morgan's input on this.
Yeah. Historically, Arizona has not been the team to go out and deal with the Russian factor in a normal year, let alone a year like this.
Right. And 3 years from now, you drop Michkov into, and we don't know who they will draft and whatever, but if you still have the guys that they have at forward right now, we'll remove Schmaltz because we think he's going to get traded.
Most likely, yeah.
You have Clayton Keller, Lawson Krause,
Logan Cooley down that
Logan
list.
Cooley, Matthias Michelli, the other geeky brother.
Yeah, I mean, how far away is he?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. But we're talking the Michkov window, 3 years.
Yeah.
You would hope that guy's in your NHL team. Barrett Hayton had a bit of a breakout this year.
Yep.
What do you think?
I mean,
Michkov joining up.
So the part of it is
in 3 years where they get to continue to be bad for one more year. That guy won't help them, but he'll show up in the middle when all these guys get into their primes. You know, when Logan Cooley and the other geek, I keep calling him the other geeky like I don't know his name, but I just like calling him the other geeky. Same thing with Brandon Tanev. He's worse Tanev.
My question is this: one, how much do you believe in the Barrett Hayton breakout? What is that guy's ceiling?
Yeah.
2,
fair enough.
Do you think Logan Cooley can be a 1C?
You're gonna try. I think he got drafted with them trying.
And 3, can Matvei Michkov be a guy like a Kirill Kaprizov in the sense of can he run an offense from the wing for you?
Well, if you go out and sign Austin Matthews in free agency,
oh my God, okay,
and you just drop
sure.
Michkov into the, you see where the appeal of Michkov of like,
if Austin Matthews drops into your lineup, I'm taking Michkov 10 times out of 10. But Austin Matthews is kind of the problem there.
Okay.
And that's my one reservation is I don't know how much I believe that Logan Cooley gets to that level.
And okay, so we've talked Reinbach, we've talked Michkov. Is there anybody else on this list that we really want to tell you? You know, Zach Benson, obviously. You imagine Zach Benson and Logan Cooley together?
Zach Benson.
Just like this, like just an absolute insane amount of puck skill.
Zach Benson would be the guy Arizona takes for all the wrong reasons.
All right. Okay.
I don't want to do that to them. No.
Okay. I'm not tempted by Zach Benson here.
Me personally, either. I think Arizona might be.
Yeah, I mean, anytime. I mean, that guy could be a monster. So
if it works out,
I feel like Zach Benson. I've said Zach Benson's ceiling to me is Mitch Marner.
Yeah, but that's a long way to go to that ceiling.
It's a really, really high ceiling.
Look, you know how I feel about these things. I think defensemen are just far more important generally.
Again, they've got to pick at 12.
Yeah.
Is there such a drop off after Reinbacher to?
I mean, are you a believer in Pellica? Like,
I like his game.
Okay. I don't know why I asked. Of course you do. He's the amazing skating defenseman in this draft class.
And I like Reinbacher better for the record, but is the drop off from Reinbacher to Sandin Pellica so large that you're like, hey, we've got to take this guy here?
My fear is that...
And is this overthinking it? Because if you do like one of these forwards and think the forward is going to end up a better player than Reinbacher, you should take the forward, right?
My fear with that is I think both defensemen could be gone before 12.
Okay. I certainly think it's possible.
But if you're hard up for one of the centers here, you could go that way. I'll let you make the final call on this one. I feel like I've made the final call on a bunch of them.
I mean, what's the other conversation? Are we talking about Oliver Moore here? Like, are we talking about Dvorsky?
Yeah, maybe. I just don't. I struggle to see a better option than Reinbacher unless you're throwing the Hail Mary of a Michkov or a Benson.
Man, I would love. No, if they take Andrew Cristall here, they get what they deserve.
Don't do that.
Great puck skill. I was literally giggling while watching him skate last night.
YouTube responsibly.
Yeah, no kidding. Andrew Cristall is this year's definite YouTube responsible guy.
Yep.
Okay, let's make a decision here.
My vote's Reinbacher, but I'll defer to you.
I'm cool with Reinbacher, man. It makes sense. They need it. They just need
David Reinbacher.
Gotcha. It's like, who's Ryan?
Yeah, sorry. Nope. David.
His name's too big for our graphic.
That'll be the same thing with Sandin Pellica, where when they give him the jersey.
Yeah, it would go all the way from like armpit to armpit. Yeah.
That's good.
On that note, we are brought to you by the fantastic people over at Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. You can get yours down here at the bar with 8 different kinds on tap. Or if you're not local, you can still drink your Breck Brew. They're everywhere in the United States. Use the Breck Beer locator online to find it near you at breckbrew.com. You can also check out Breck Brew's amazing merch. If you're in town, you got to get down to the Breck Brew Farmhouse. Great place to go grab a beer, maybe some food. Also, based on our last time there, their breakfast and brunch specials are amazing.
Oh, God, dude.
So
we were such big fans, they ran out.
they literally ran out of their brunch special, which was like a egg burger thing.
It was the breakfast burger bowl.
Yeah, a burger with egg in it, just like thrown into a bowl, and it was amazing. Cannot recommend it enough from Breck Brew. Also brought to you by Fubo TV. You can go to FuboTV.com / is it DNVR? Yeah, I think it's /DNVR. To order yours today, you use that or the DNVR code. You get 15% off your first month of Fubo TV Pro. You can use that QR code on screen too. That also works. It's just like regular television on your TV. It's literally just a cable package, which you turn on, you watch whatever you want to watch. You got NHL games coming up on ESPN. Fubo has you covered for those. Whole bunch of other events coming up as well. If you're a golf fan, they've got which one is it? I don't know the golf tournaments that order. Is it the U.S. Open next or is it the British Open? I forget. Doesn't matter.
I actually have no idea, man.
I believe the French Open for tennis is coming
definitely
up
the
as
French
well.
next.
So
I know that one. The French Open is on its way.
Tons of sporting events coming.
I'm excited to use Fubo for the French Open. This is the first time I watched the French Open in a long time. I don't like clay. So
is anyone gonna win it?
Yeah, that's I mean, the answer is yes, and it's not going to be a guy that you want.
Because that's why I don't watch the French Open. That tournament's decided before it begins.
It won't be Rafa. It's changing of the guard.
Finally.
We've been saying this for a decade.
Anyway, lots of sports, lots of regular television and movies as well. You can check it all out with Fubo. Go to FuboTV.com /DNVR to order today. All right. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this draft a little bit as we move on to 7.
These will start to speed up because we'll have way less to say about individual picks.
Yeah, so it'll be quick. Philly needs everything.
Yeah, I think Philly. I'm good giving them Oliver Moore because I just think that's exactly that's a Philly guy.
Yep. Not a little bit more grit and jam than like a Benson or something like that.
Yeah. I think they're probably really disappointed not to get a shot at Ryan Leonard.
He's Philly made
through and through. Yeah.
My question really quickly, since we're going with another NTDP kid, do you run into a little bit of that this year? You know, you have 3 kids you're arguing about in the top 10 for the UNTDP, US NTDP, and then there's like a handful of other kids that could go in the first round. Are we running into that? Are a little bit of these kids maybe rated too high because they're playing on a really good national team?
I don't think so.
No, you think they're legit?
I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
I had a lot harder time with the year where they're like, well, there's 14 draftable guys. And you're like, how did they ever lose? Including a first-round goalie and the entire defense. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
That was a lot tougher, and that team has borne a lot of fruit.
It's worked out very well in most cases. 8 with Washington. I think I don't think Michkov gets past 8 and 9.
Nope. I was saving Michkov for these guys, really.
Yeah.
This is the easy. Ovi probably is like, hey, they can't make a decision around Ovi.
Yep.
They do not want to be drafting in the top 10 anytime soon. They clearly have no problem with the Russian factor. This is Matvei Michkov. This is an easy Matvei Michkov landing spot.
Yep. I 100% agree. I think that's easy. The talent is too much for him to fall out of the top 10, even with all these other factors. He's just too good.
Yeah. Didn't even have the conversation for the Flyers because I think there's a sense of urgency with the Flyers where
they're for some reason
waiting.
Convinced that they're trying to get back to winning now, which I think is the wrong decision, but that's where their organization is at.
If a Flyers fan comes in here and says that we're idiots and that Danny Briere will definitely take Michkov, I'll listen to you. I'd be open to that. But from the outside looking in, you don't really feel strong about the direction of that organization right now.
So I talk with the Broad Street Flyers people semi-regularly, and they want Michkov, but from what they're saying about the org, it sounds like that's not in the cards.
Okay, so you have Detroit here, and as much as I don't... so which Swede can we give them?
If Carlson was still on the board somehow, it'd be the easiest slam dunk of all time.
So I think Zach Benson is a major... that injection of skill. I think that Dvorsky is a really interesting guy here as the center.
I think Dvorsky's super interesting.
I also think that they are obsessed with Swedes, and Sandin Pellikka's right there.
Yeah.
That said, a lot of investment in defense in recent years. Mm-hmm. Simon Edvinsson. I already forgot the German kid's name.
Cider.
Moritz Cider. Thank you. A lot of first-round picks, a lot of high picks used on defensemen in the last 4 years from that organization.
I just think projection-wise, Dvorsky makes so much sense for them to drop in behind Larkin. Mm-hmm. He can be their future 2C.
Okay.
My question is, does it happen fast enough?
Yeah, I mean, they're still, obviously they're trying to make a jump right now. And with Andrew Kopp hanging around, now hanging around, he signed long term.
5 more years.
You do have kind of that conversation of
maybe you can get away without it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my thing is,
I think Benson's the better prospect.
But
I think Dvorsky
higher
might
ceiling
be
for sure.
I think Dvorsky might be the better fit.
Again, this is someone I'm trying to project as a little bit more of a well-rounded 2C than a Benson. If everything goes right, that dude's an offensive 1C for you, right? Now, does he get there? We don't have to get into that. My thing is, and I know I just talked about how the SHL is, I have reservations about it. The counter argument to that, take a look at someone like Jean-Luc Foudy, who went over and played in the Swedish third league even when he was younger.
For 2 weeks.
Sure, but look at a kid like that able to go over and play in that league for a little bit and how he was able to transition that into an AHL career where he didn't really have any trouble adjusting to pro hockey.
Yeah.
So I do think in that sense, yes, coming to North America can be tough, but it prepares you for professional systems a whole lot better, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it prepares you for the structure that you're going to face.
Exactly. Yes. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. I really do like Dvorsky here. It would not surprise me at all if they go with Pellikka.
I'm good with Dvorsky, man. I think he's a guy that we're going to hear a lot more about in the next month.
Yeah.
And if this guy got drafted 4 spots higher, would not blink.
Ooh, top 5 might be tough, but yeah.
I think he's the guy that I have picked for teams to fall in love with. And Zach Benson is the guy that I've picked for teams to fall out of love with.
I am with you on Benson here for sure.
Yeah. And I love Benson personally. I think my problem with Benson is I think the floor is he's not even close to an NHL player.
Yeah.
And the ceiling is he's Mitch Marner.
That's the bust potential is just too high.
With Benson, that's my major concern with Benson.
Yep.
But I think if you're St. Louis, you're looking at Benson and you're saying, okay, Benson or Sandin Pellikka.
Yeah, you're at 10.
There's not really another defenseman because you're not looking at Dmitry Simashev. There's the Russian factor to consider with him.
Yeah.
And beyond that, there's not really another defenseman that you really love at this part of the draft.
It's just too early for the rest of the D in this class.
Yep.
It's going to be hard to find another D you really like in the top 20, honestly. Again, I always default to the defenseman.
I just think that's the organization's biggest need.
Yep.
Now, you could easily make the argument that if you're trying to solve St. Louis's problems on defense with this pick, Simashev is the better pick. He's got the size, he's got the kind of range, the agility that they could really, really use because their defense is made up of a little too many samey puck.
You start talking about Krug, Falk,
easy to play against.
which
Pellica Nick Leddy
does
those
kind
guys.
of project as that.
Well, and Pellica projects in that exact mold, but better than those guys are currently.
Yeah.
And then the same thing, Scott Perunovich down that line there. Like, if they want to continue to do this Kelly Rosen thing, Sandin Pellica is way too much of the same.
It's a fair point.
And that's where I think Zach Benson, they could just say, we're taking a chance on the skill. We love the skill. We don't want to be drafting here again anytime soon. We're taking the best player we can.
I'm good with that.
So I think Zach Benson is my guy here at St. Louis.
At a certain point, the skill ceiling just becomes too juicy, right?
Yep.
So
and when you do look at Sandin Pellica, you are just saying, oh, that's great. This guy's going to come in. He's going to look exactly like 4 of our other guys.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm good with that. This is our top 10 of our first mock of the draft season.
I'm so excited a month to look back at this and be like, we were so
everything after 2 is just not even in the ballpark.
Total garbage. Yeah.
And it's only going to get worse from here. So,
there are going to be some picks we don't even really talk about coming up.
Yeah. Vancouver at 11. I mean, Vancouver is such an organization in shambles. I don't even know what you do. Does it even matter who they pick? Is it just going to be a disaster?
So this one, I think Sandin Pellica is actually a great fit.
Okay.
Because they could use some more puck moving help. Obviously Quinn Hughes is great.
Sure.
But you look at Winnipeg's defense with Josh Morrissey and you say, well, you've got one guy that can move a puck and a bunch of other guys that can't.
You need
some
more
help here.
Well, not that they're the same type of player, but 100% could see Pellica as a guy who slots into a second pairing role very similar to what Sam Girard does on the Avs.
Absolutely. I think this is I actually really like this comp. I love Kay getting us the scoop that they're trading 11 for Josh Anderson, which would be the most Vancouver Canuck
don't
thing
do that.
imaginable.
Please.
He's got a great shot and he plays a heavy game. He's going to be great next to Pettersson. Just watch.
20 points next year for that team.
Dude,
if they
it'll be 25. But it'll happen in 35 games because he'll get hurt.
And then
for the
he'll
rest
just
of
be
them.
broken.
Yep.
Oh, brutal.
So yeah, Sandin Pellica for the Canucks. Great call. We've done a great job.
Arizona's second pick.
I love this pick because we've taken the defenseman and now we don't feel bad about whatever we do.
Can slam dunk a forward of whoever you want.
We can really kind of figure out what we want here. So let me throw a couple of names that I really, really like here, okay?
Okay.
Braden Yeager.
I have fell out of love with Braden Yeager.
Sure. I think a lot of the NHL has. But with Dylan Guenther and the way that he is your goal scorer.
You just feed the shit out of him. I get it. Yeah.
Braden Yeager maybe loses some appeal, but you can never have too many goal scorers, right?
Sure.
Same conversation with Colby Barlow.
Yeah. So again, it comes back to, hey, do you believe in Logan Cooley? Because Barlow's a wing.
Yes.
If you want a wing, I think I probably lean Barlow. If you want a center, I might even take Nate Danielson over Braden Yeager.
Okay, we can have the Danielson conversation in a sec, but the other name that I want to bring up is Matthew Wood.
Oh,
the guy that has been on a major rise,
just an absolute tear, and it's interesting with him, right? Because he is playing in the NCAA. He's a point per game player.
Braden Yeager.
He's making a meme about Attack on Titan. AJ's not a weeb. Sorry, chat.
Yeah.
The thing with Wood is how much do you believe in him playing at UConn, where there's not really any other talent, playing against lower caliber competition?
How much heavy lifting is Tage Thompson's NHL success doing for Matthew Wood's draft stock? Because Tage Thompson was a large-bodied goal-scoring wing at UConn.
Who could walk in and do one thing.
And you talk about Matthew Wood, and what is he? He is a large-bodied goal-scoring wing at UConn. Mm-hmm. I think he's a more well-rounded player than Tage was at UConn. But you look at Tage Thompson's success, and you go, yeah, but Tage did it, so why can't Wood do it? I don't know the answer to that, but I will say, if you don't love Matthew Wood, man,
Yeah.
He looks like a lightning bolt for an organization.
My one concern is the skating isn't amazing.
Okay.
It's not like terrible, but in a league that every year it feels like is only getting faster when it comes to the skating ability, that's my one hang up with Wood.
Okay.
But honestly, you brought that up, and to me, it's him or Barlow.
Okay. I think I love the idea of Wood in that organization where center wing, it doesn't really matter right now. They're still just collecting talent.
Sure, I'm fine with that.
Cool. All right, let's kind of speed through these
Fucking
next
lightning
couple
round
of picks
to get through the 16 because
these
Buffalo,
next
Pittsburgh,
handful
who
of
cares?
picks are kind of whatever.
Yep.
These aren't organizations that we are intimately familiar with.
Yep.
So, I am good. Buffalo. I think we're picking from the same. Gabe Perreault is another guy that I think in this
Sure.
has been majorly on the rise.
Yep.
And is a guy who's finished his season really, really strong. So I want him in somewhere in this conversation.
I'm down. Can put him there. We're not making any assumptions here. We know all these picks are going to be wrong at this point. So,
Gabe Perreault works.
yep. Pittsburgh, they always seem to find talent with picks like this. To me,
Yeah, so Pittsburgh I think should be looking for a quick path guy, and I wonder if that's a guy like Edouard Saleh,
okay, yeah, if you're going European, sure,
because you can drop him into the AHL quickly.
he's
and
got
you
the
can
pro
get him-
experience.
You
Yeah,
can get him
yeah.
onto an accelerated path to the NHL.
I kind of like Danielson there, but you've convinced me of Saleh.
I mean, there's I think Gulyayev.
yeah, you could
Or Simishev would
if
be.
you wanna go
they
D.
could really, but I'm scared of the Russian thing.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with how the league is going to value Russian players.
Yep.
And their ability to get Russian players to come across the pond.
Yep. I'm with you on that.
So I think a couple of those are the two guys, Simishev and Gulyayev in particular.
Just don't know
that
what
I
to
think
do with.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna leave till the 20s.
Yep.
Just out of
The
fear,
expectation
mostly.
of falling. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's totally fair.
Okay.
Nashville.
So this one is I like the fit with Jaeger here
I was gonna say Jaeger too.
because
We agree on one.
they need a high upside, like
Yep.
a guy that if this guy he doesn't have an amazing draft here.
Nashville's been looking for a 1C for a billion years. Why
Well,
not try again?
If they break through with this guy,
Then they have
they
one.
could get
Yeah,
an
right.
absolute monster.
Do it through the draft instead of trying to trade for it like they have for the past decade.
Exactly. I mean, you drop that guy into a lineup, and if he lives up to that potential that he's had attached to him for a long time now,
Yep.
and they end up, with him and a guy like Tomasino,
It could work out really well.
and I don't like
If it
where
hits.
that's headed.
Well, or Braden Yeager's a total bust,
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing with that pick is that whoever takes Jaeger is going to be
They're
living
swinging
that
for the
life.
fences for sure. Calgary at 16.
I'm kind of tempted to give them Riley Heidt here. It's a guy in their own
Okay.
backyard.
Yeah.
In the WHL, easy for them to scout.
Yeah.
And a guy we really haven't talked a lot about, but I think is destined for this portion of the draft.
Middle of first, yeah.
Yep.
Agree. I'm good with Riley Height. To Calgary. I just hate everything that comes out of Prince George, but that's a personal vendetta. So
Oh my God, have we forgotten about Barlow?
yeah, he's definitely
Great. Let's
slipped.
give Montreal Colby Barlow.
Perfect. On that note, we are brought to you all by the people over at Pins and Aces. You can go get your Pins and Aces merch, official golf apparel merchandiser at pinsandaces.com. You can get a good chunk of change off and free shipping when you use the DNVR code with them. Go check it out. They've got a bunch of good stuff. I know AJ and Megan were showing off their hats on the other day. On
I
the
wore my hat in studio the other day.
yeah. The orange one?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. So they got tons of hats, tons of awesome colors. Our Avalanche hat is down in Studio A, so we can't show it to you, but they have one like that. They've got polos, they've got pants, they've got the whole nine. If you're going out on the golf course, check out their beer sleeve or their liquor stick. You can be the coolest guy in your foursome when you're giving everybody drinks. It works out the best. Pinsandaces.com. Check them out today. And then make sure when you're looking good, make sure you can look good, as in C with Shady Rays. go to shadyrays.com.
You don't do things good, you do them well, Rudo.
You know I don't write for these exact reasons.
I'm
right?
just saying.
Anyway, go check them out. Go get your sunglasses. Go make sure your eyes are good instead of getting blinded by the sun. Tons of different options. Not only shapes and sizes, but they have different polarizations. You can get different colors. If you're a gamer nerd, you can get their blue light stuff. They've got ski and snowboard goggles. You name it, they've got you covered for staring at things in your life. So go check them out. ShadyRays.com. If you're local, they have a brick and mortar at the Park Meadows Mall. Use the DNVR code and you get 50% off when you order 2 pairs or more with Shady Rays. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast as we get into the latter part of this mock draft, and things are going to fall apart in a hurry here.
I was like, we're going to save these 2 Russian guys for the 20s.
Detroit's taking one for sure.
Detroit is on the clock here, and I think Detroit should take Gulyev.
Okay. Why over Simashev?
Because they've got Mo Seider, Simon Edvinsson. I'm forgetting one. I know I'm forgetting at least one of their guys there. And then they had the big breakout from the guy who got the contract this year. God, Detroit has broken my brain, apparently.
Here, we'll just look it up.
I think their defense is looking good, but I think they could really use a puck mover. A really dynamic puck carrier, a guy that attacks.
Wallman.
Thank you. Jake Wallman.
Yeah. I'm here, especially the way you saw Seider play a good portion of this season, where still very good player.
When you wonder if you get a guy that can help you with some of the power play responsibilities, you maybe drop him to
take
2.
some weight off his shoulders. Exactly.
Maybe keep him a little fresher for some of the other stuff, and you get a guy that will be very effective attacking with the puck, like Gulyev.
I'm absolutely here for this. Man, is Moritz Seider not just what Eric Johnson was supposed to be?
Yep. Correct. You got it. All right. Well, so Winnipeg here.
Yeah, this one actually affects Colorado a little bit.
Winnipeg here. There's 2 guys that I'm actually curious about. One of them is Simashev.
Sure.
Because they as long as Chevy is still making
The decisions up there. Yep.
the big hulking D, but one that has a little more agility than a guy like Logan Stanley. Doesn't play with that same physicality, but you love the size. You love what you love kind of the all around what he can do. He's not as physical as you'd like for him to be, given it that size.
Sure.
But
I mean, I think that's not super unusual for Russians either.
exactly. I mean, Zadorov was kind of your one
The exception to that.
outlier where
Yeah.
this guy just kills dudes.
Yep.
The other guy that I've got here is Honzek, Samuel Honzek,
Okay.
where it just feels like we're getting a little late.
Well, so that's how I feel about Barlow as well. The problem is with Winnipeg, they'd have to blow it up for that to be interesting.
I
for them.
think that with Perfetti
I hear you.
and Brad Lambert,
Already
they
on the way.
might have some of and Kyle Connor signed long term.
Yeah.
They might have some pieces in place already to kind of, if you add another forward to this,
Yeah.
you could really start to see where they move on from Scheifele and Wheeler.
Yep.
And maybe if they need to, Nick Ehlers.
And that's where I maybe lean Barlow.
Barlow went to
over
Montreal.
Honzek. Oh, did we? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right
Okay.
before the ad
then,
break.
Then Honzek is good.
We
yeah.
just willy-nilly just decided
right.
he was a Canadian.
He can't get that. He was just too deep in the draft. Right?
Yeah.
So Honzek's good. Then I'm good. With
I'm
that.
also having a similar conversation about guys that I think we need to seriously look at here. Andrew Cristall
Yep.
and Nate Danielson.
Yeah. This is 20 is right around where I have Danielson projected, basically.
Okay. So I'm good with Honzek to Winnipeg.
Yep.
I actually really like the idea of Danielson to Chicago.
They get Bedard and Danielson.
Yeah.
That's so nice for them.
Yeah. And then JT Conver gets to be their 3C that they pay $5 million.
That's JT Confer is just going to live the charmed life of playing behind insane centers his entire career.
Oh, I laugh because I don't want to cry on
Because you're
camera.
going to cry for sure. Seattle at 21, which probably won't actually
Well,
be
we'll see.
Seattle, but
if
it could
Seattle
be
if Seattle wins, then they drop all the way down to
28.
29, 30, 31, 32. So yeah.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I can't count. Yep.
Yeah. So they drop all the way down to 29.
Yep. Which, who knows what happens in that world. It's,
As of right now, I really like I like guys that are available. Cristal would make sense for them.
Cristal would make
They're
a lot
not
of
an
sense for them.
organization that worries so much about. They have not shown the inclination to be obsessed with skating.
Nope.
They look like one that,
perfectly happy to play grinded out mucky hockey.
We'll just take skill.
Yep.
In the 20s, so I think Andrew Cristal is a great fit there.
Happy to go with that. The one thing now.
All right, the Wilder on the clock. Who is the one guy left that we think is going to be the biggest bust that we can get them?
In this range, I think I've always thought Dragicevic sucks, but he's probably a little bit too far out.
Yeah, what I don't get about Dragicevic is the way that he plays. He attacks and he attacks and he attacks and he just doesn't do
It doesn't
much with
accomplish
it.
anything. Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same. It's kind of the same problem that you have with Tanner Melendek, honestly. Where
I could buy that.
The guy attacks and you love that he gets involved and he goes after it. But what is he actually creating here?
Not a ton.
And that's kind of my thing with Dragicevic, is that I don't know that he's actually doing a whole lot when he gets involved in stuff.
I'm here for that take if we're giving Minnesota a bust.
Cool. Dragicevic it is to Minnesota, just out of spite. Because that's how we're going to operate
Pure
on the Avs pod.
because this mock draft isn't going to be right anyway at this point. So we might as well have some fun with it, right?
We're just trying to work our way to the Avs pick at this point.
Yeah, we could have
simmed these picks here.
Honestly, probably should have simmed them.
Yeah. Let's give Columbus Callum Ritchie.
Okay.
I like him.
I'm here for it.
He has a cool name.
He does have a cool name.
I just think Callum's a great name, man.
Really. I would not name my kid Callum.
Well, I wouldn't name my kid Callum either. I'm not going to name my kid anything because I don't want a kid. But
Also in the NHL, I just assume that I won't like anyone with the last name Ritchie.
fair enough. Fair enough. I'm curious. We started to get into this part of the draft here. Do we consider a goaltender for these teams that have multiple picks? The Columbus's, San Jose is going to be on the clock here in a second.
Yeah, for Columbus and San Jose, I would. Not for New York and Nashville coming up here, but
Nashville's got multiple picks too, but
they
also
have Askarov.
they've got Askarov. So yeah, all right. The Rangers, Dmitry Simashev.
Yeah, this was 100% Simashev for me.
Okay.
Easiest pick ever.
Okay, I'm good with this. Tiff's doing a great job
Yeah,
keeping up with the speed.
We're just
around
like
here.
bam, bam. Pop it off.
She's doing an amazing job keeping up with us. Just like, yeah, this sounds good. Okay, so Ethan Gauthier is a guy that I wanted to put next to Yeager intentionally with Nashville.
Sure.
And just give them a very offensive
punch
oriented draft.
Go full forward.
It feels like they need to break through at some point and quit dicking around with this will be interesting because it will be the first non-David Poile pick.
Yeah, in their history.
And so I am really, really curious if they are going to start with, and Barry Trotz, you think defense, two-way guys. Why he's going to go out and he's going to be like, find me. He's going to be like Gavin Brindley. 5'9", explosive offensive player. Let's go.
The exact opposite of what he was as a coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Sharks at 26 very quickly here, and then we can talk about the Avs pick.
Yep. Let's give them Quentin Musty.
Okay. Are you just picking funny names now?
No, man. I just don't want to talk about him for the Avs.
That's fine. Good talk.
I mostly want to talk about defensemen for the Avs.
Yeah, all right. Let me take you to the church of Oliver Bonk for Colorado.
Okay, so Oliver Bonk is your guy.
Yep.
All righty. Tanner Melendek is going to be mine.
Fair enough.
So let's have this conversation. Oliver Bonk versus Tanner Melendek.
All right. So here's the thing about Oliver Bonk, and I understand this is probably going to turn a lot of people off on him.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
No, nothing.
Okay.
You said it's going to turn a lot of people off of him. And okay.
I'm not going out. I am just not worried about offense with Oliver Bonk as the pick.
Okay.
Given where the Avs are at organizationally, I think this guy is the best fit for the team because they don't have anyone left in the organization like this. Their one real quality defensive prospect is Sean Behrens, who can do a little bit of everything there. But as we've talked about a lot, the majority of the Avs top four is set and forget. Cale Makar's there. Bowen Byram's not going anywhere. Sam Girard isn't going anywhere, or if he does, it's probably so they can keep Devon Taves.
Okay.
So you have that. You're not worried about sorting out your organization's top end of their defense. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think Oliver Bonk projects that high. I think he's probably a number 4.
Okay.
But you can drop that guy into your lineup.
But you are, first of all, we're talking about the 27th pick here.
Right.
When they actually pick, it'll probably be at 25.
They're likely to move up 2 spots.
I don't think that changes the conversation a lot. I'm just saying.
Changes nothing for me. Yeah.
Okay. So you're worried about you're more focused on I just want a good player that fills a role.
Good player fills a role.
Fills a role that right now there's nobody in the organization to fill this role.
I do like his floor as well.
So you think he's safe?
Yeah.
Safe as
I
death,
know
my
you hate
man.
I know you hate this.
Safe as death. I don't for the record, I'm not out on it.
In the top
I'm not out.
In the top 15, I'm with you. Safe as death.
Yeah.
25.
Well, in 25, where you're talking about, you're an organization that has specific holes.
Yeah.
You're not Nashville or San Jose where you have a second pick and you're kind of just YOLOing it, right?
Yeah.
You are talking about you have specific holes. Yes, he is Roddick Bonk's son.
Yep.
So you are talking about you need something a little more specific here with this. Mm-hmm. And Oliver does not give you that offensive upside.
It doesn't. It just doesn't.
And if there's one thing about Tanner Melendek that you absolutely are not talking about being a big thing here, it's that you have Sam Malinsky,
yeah.
you have Ryan Merkley, you have Sean Behrens. Those are probably your 3 best prospects on defense.
Yep.
All of them are offensive defensemen.
Yep.
Tanner Melendek, offensive defenseman.
Yep.
He's going to be a guy that attacks up the ice.
Well, and on one hand, the Avs have done a really good job of getting quality players out of guys like that.
Right. And if you go and you get a guy that fits, I mean, this is why I like Melendek is he fits who they are. He fits their style.
Sure.
He size wise, it's negligible. He's not big, but
he's not hurting you. Yeah.
He's not. They won't be. Fans won't be having the same conversation like they do with Sam Girard, where they're like, "Come on now, that guy's not 5'10". Give me a break." So you do have with Melendek, you are talking about this is a transition player for a team that loves and lives and dies with its transition a lot of the time. Now, do you trust Tanner Melendek if you get into a postseason series? Are you looking at
play
how he
quality
plays?
Hockey on the back end?
Are you looking at how he plays on your third pairing and saying, "I trust this guy"?
And this is why I want Bonk.
This is where you can sell me on Bonk being he is the better fit there. I would also. Do we want to have the goalie conversation?
Personally, I wouldn't.
Okay.
If I was Colorado.
My big thing here is there isn't a goaltender. There isn't an obvious goaltender.
A real first round.
Most of the goalies that I think that are intriguing in this draft class are second round grades.
Yep.
And that's where, hey, you've got the one pick. If you really, 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 really like that goaltender and you think that, hey, our system could use this guy, cool, try it.
Yep.
But doing it just for the sake of doing it, I don't know about that. I think we'll give you the win on this. I'll give you the Oliver Bonk. I think
so that means it'll definitely be wrong. But
oh well, I don't think it's going to be either one of these guys because I think when this pick comes up, it'll be in Arizona's hands or somebody else's.
The Avs won't even own this pick. So. A fair point.
It is still my belief, and then I don't want to ignore it, but one of our homies in chat, big fan of Tom Willander.
I liked what very, very little
This
I've
is just
seen
a guy
of
I don't
him.
know a lot about yet.
I've watched like one highlight video on YouTube, and he was interesting, but to say I have an opinion on him would be unfair.
And this is why I left him out of it, is just because he's ranked in that area.
Yeah.
He probably belongs in this conversation. This is just day one of our coverage for this year. The fact that we got through a first round mock is something I'm a little amazed at, to be honest.
We had to work hard to get this one in.
Yeah.
But hey, look, we made it through the Avs pick. We're not going to do the rest of the first round because we don't care about them.
Okay.
And also, they're completely undecided the order of those picks.
I will say, in the middle of this show, Craig Morgan did text me
And say what?
to say that if we wanted to do another mock draft later on in draft season,
Yep.
we're going to try and get the whole company from CHGO and PHNX to do the ALLCITY NHL mock draft together, where everybody will have assigned teams and we'll do whatever, and it will be a lot more in depth than this one, but it'll also be post combine,
Where we'll have a lot more info on
exactly.
kids. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is our introduction to draft coverage this year.
Take this one as a super rough beginning, and it's going to be going hard from here on out.
The guys that got drafted between 1 and about 20, you probably don't need to care too much about because they're not going to have a real conversation about them.
The Avs will not be involved in that at all this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine them trying to move up with just the
I mean, why would
assets that they
why would
don't
you
have.
move up when you could trade it for an NHL player?
You could move back, and
Back, I'm here for that. Up, I don't understand.
I'm just saying
All right.
that would be the only world that we got in that required people to care a whole lot about Riley Height.
Fair
Just
enough.
picking somebody in the middle of the draft.
Fair enough. All right. We're going to wrap this one up for you.
We both believe, yes, Andrew, for the record, we both believe the Avs should trade the pick.
Oh, yeah.
But until they do, we want to make sure
We have
that
to
we
be
cover
ready.
the
Yeah.
bases and that we've talked about the draft. So when draft day rolls around, we aren't all sitting around going, I don't know who these guys are. We're not ever going to be the unprepared Pete.
Let's be
You know how
honest.
hard this graphic would have been if they made me trade stuff? That would have sucked.
We're
Yeah, no,
trading
we're not
this
doing
pick.
that.
You got to move it. No. Honestly, no offense to the other outlets, but I think we're the only place that really covers the draft well. And
True.
we're going to keep doing that. So,
Yeah.
all right. We're wrapping up today's show. We appreciate all of y'all a ton. More content coming. I guess it's Jesse and Megan tomorrow.
Yeah,
So,
Jesse and Megan tomorrow, the two of us are off. We will be back on Thursday and
Yep.
Friday of this week.
Yep.
I imagine that our two at the rink homies will have some at the rink conversations.
sounds about right.
I would say look for a lot more of the Landeskog conversation.
They will talk
tomorrow.
about Landy a bunch, I'm sure.
Yeah, they will get into the presser that took place today because that's their role.
That's
this
what
is
they
our
do.
role,
Yep.
and this is would have been great had that presser happened tomorrow morning.
Would
to be honest with
have
you.
would have been perfect for us if it went that way. But anyway, we appreciate all y'all a ton, and I guess we will talk to you on Thursday, but the pod will be back tomorrow.